Hello, can everybody hear me? Please, Mr. Ladesom, if you can hear me, leave a message that you can hear me. If you can hear me, leave a message that you can hear me. All I just want is for you to connect to this live stream. After connecting to it, then just leave a message that, okay, you can hear me. Me. Are you connected already? I want to know if you are connected so that I can know what to do. Okay. Maybe we should do it this way. Just leave a comment that you can hear me. That will help. Please leave a comment that you can hear me so that we can move on. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Thank God you can hear me. Okay, you can hear me clearly. That is great. So, let us start. We are not going to waste our time on this. We have the note already. So, what we basically want to do is that we want to explain this note that we have with us. That is, we want to explain the note on foreign policy. We want to explain the note on foreign policy. So, basically, whenever we talk about foreign policy, what comes to your mind? I'm very sure that most of you must have, you must have concluded that it is just a way in which a country has established to interact with other countries. But the interaction with other countries will be such that the country will maximize every of the potential, every of the benefits that is inherent in the interaction or in the relationship. So today we are looking at foreign policy, and I'll be using the note that I sent to you the last time. If you can hear me clearly, please just leave a comment that you can hear me clearly once again so that I will know if we are still on the right track. Because as we speak, I am in Caleb University and I'm waiting for my sister. So instead of just sitting here without doing any reasonable thing, why can't I just engage you guys? So leave a comment. Just tell me that you can hear me clearly so we can continue from there. Please, can you hear me? Okay, this is awesome. That is great. So if you can also connect with me on that YouTube channel, if you can connect with me on the YouTube channel, it will be great because I'm sharing this note with you. If you can connect with me on the YouTube channel. So let us start. Without much ado, without wasting our time, whenever we talk about foreign policy, it is also called foreign. Listen to this. It consists of self-interest strategies chosen by the state to safeguard its national interest and to achieve goals within its international relations milieu. Now, the country has personal goals that it wants to achieve. Now, this personal goal that the country wants to achieve can only be achieved if the country greatly considers its own self-interest. Okay, let me quickly explain what is happening in the US. I hope with this explanation of what is happening in the US, I hope you'll be able to understand that, okay, this is basically what foreign policy is all about. Donald Trump announced just he is going to take drastic action against China. Now, the drastic action that he said he's going to take against China is basically to increase tariff on anything that is from China, to increase it by 120, to increase it to 125%, which means if an item is to be sold for 100 naira, if an item from China is to be sold for 100 naira in the United States of America, now the item will no longer be sold at 100 naira because there will be 125% increment as tariff on that commodity. Now, that 125 increment as tariff on that commodity will not be solely borne by Chinese company alone. It will not be borne by Chinese company. It will be borne by the consumers. Now, the consumers are the citizens or the people living in United States that want to consume Chinese products. These people that are living in United States that want to consume Chinese products, they will now have to buy the commodity for 225 naira because 250 naira rather. Am I making any mistake? Now, 125% of 100, that is additional 125, so it will be 225. So they will have to buy that commodity for 225 instead of the original 100 naira. Are you with me? So instead of the original 100 naira, they will now have to buy it for 225 naira. Now, what has happened is that it will change the price pattern. The price will go up. And once the price go up, people that are living in the United States that have huge appetite for Chinese products will be discouraged from consuming such commodity. They will be discouraged from doing what? From consuming such commodity. And that will, it will be a very huge punch on Chinese company. Now, it is just an approach to protect the United States economy. Now, that is foreign policy. It is one of those foreign policies. So you can conclude that the foreign policy, maybe it is a protectionist or protectionism, as you may call it. Maybe it is just to protect the United States of America economy, which is, please remember that I told you from the note that you have here, it is geared towards self-interest. The interest of the country comes first before the interest of any other country. So self-interest. I hope that makes a lot of sense. So if you are to write your definition, so just have it at the back of your mind that whenever we talk about foreign policy, it consists of self-interest strategies chosen by the state to safeguard its national interest and to do what? And to achieve goals. There are certain goals that the state wants to achieve. And to do what? And to achieve goals within its international relation milieu. Now, the approaches are strategically employed to interact with other countries. So any approach that is strategically employed to interact with other nations is called foreign what? It is called foreign policy analysis. Any approach. So now this the study of such strategy, that is when you study the strategy used by a particular country to interact with other countries of the world, you call it foreign policy analysis. In the university, if you are studying anything related to foreign policy or international relation, you know what we are talking about. So you are studying approaches, the diplomatic approaches that a country can use to deal with other countries. When I say deal, I am not necessarily talking about fighting. It could be to have a smooth or a multilateral trade relationship or bilateral trade relationship, with other countries. Now, in recent times, are you with me? In recent times, due to the deepening level of globalization and transactional activities, I know some of you will still be finding it difficult to understand what globalization is. Globalization is basically a situation where everyone from any part of the world can interact in terms of business, in terms of anything. You can interact with anyone, anywhere in the world. That is globalization. So that is globalization. You can see it in the corner of your room. Okay, you remember recently that I was just somewhere inside Ikorodu and I ordered a particular commodity from China via Temu. And they brought it without any stress, without any effort. That is what? That is globalization. So with the fact that globalization is hitting deep into every part of the world, with the fact that the world is now turning into a global market, like a market that you can just hold on your phone. Are you with me? And the transactional activities, the state will also have to interact with non-state actors. Now, the idea is this. A state can interact with non-state actors. Whenever we talk about non-state actors, we are talking about interaction with, business owners in another country instead of interaction with the country or the government of the country itself. So those non-state actors are business owners, or they are international organizations that are either within the other country or outside the other country. Is that taking? So the state can interact with non-state actors. The aforementioned, that is, the non-state actors' interaction, is evaluated and monitored in attempt to maximize benefits of multilateral international cooperation. The idea is that, okay, we want to take full advantage of the benefits that exist. We want to take full advantage of the benefit that exists in dealing with other countries, or in dealing with other companies or other organizations from outside our own country. So now, since the national interests are paramount, foreign policies are designed by government through high-level decision-making processes. So before any policy before any international policy or foreign policy can be made, it has to be through high-level decision-making processes. It is not just by thinking or just by waking up and feeling you can do anything by intuition. No, it has to go through a lot of processes, and these processes will ensure that should anything happen in the long run, the country will greatly benefit from the interaction with the other country. Am I on the same page with you? Are you on the same page with me? Please, can you quickly leave a comment that is in the group that, okay, we are together. If you can still hear me, just let me have a message on the platform that we are still together so that I can continue from there. I can't seem to get your message, please. I expect the message on time so that we can continue from there, please. Okay, we are together. Thank you. Thank you. So, now, national interest accomplishments, that is the interest of this country. Let us use Nigeria as an example. Let us say Nigeria is interacting with other countries. So national interest accomplishments can occur as a result of peaceful cooperation. National interest accomplishments can occur as a result of what? Peaceful cooperation with other nations, or through exploitation. Are you with me? Now look at it. It is all about the interest of the country in question, self-interest. So you can have you can have high level of benefits. You can have, high level of national interest. You can benefit greatly from it, either by having peaceful interaction with other nations, or by exploiting them. Or by doing what? Or by exploiting them. One of those exploitative approaches that we can see is, let us say, what happened after colonialism. That is the neo-colonial era. What happened? The British, yes, they claim that, okay, they've given us our independence and every other thing like that, that they've earned, like, they have completely taken their hands away from anything that has to do with Africa. But still, economically, they are still deeply involved. And they are doing it in a, they are engaging us in a peaceful way. To us, it is peaceful, but to them, it is exploitative. How is it exploitative? It is exploitative because it is more of they collecting from us than we getting from them. So these national interest accomplishments can occur as a result of peaceful cooperation with other nations, or through exploitation. Usually, creating a foreign policy is the job of the head of government and the foreign minister or its equivalent. So for any foreign policy to come into being, that is, for any foreign policy to come into existence, it has to be through the head of government, that is the president or the prime minister in a parliamentary system, or any other body, or the minister that is in charge of that affairs. So it is maybe the president or the minister in charge, or both of them combined. Is that taken? So we move to the next one. In some countries, the legislature also has considerable effect. The legislature in some countries, they also have what? Considerable effect. Foreign policies of countries have varying rates of change and scope of intent. I'll take that again. Foreign policies of countries have varying rates of change and scope of interest, which can be affected by factors that change the perceived national interest or even affect the stability of the country itself. I will take that again and break it down. Whenever we talk about foreign policy, it's, the way it affects each country or the country itself, it varies from the way it will affect another country. Like your own foreign policy, what you are coming up with will be totally different from the foreign policy of another country. So in some countries, foreign policies of countries have varying rates of change and scope of intent. So the foreign policy of a particular country can cover just a particular area, while the foreign policy of another country can cover, broader area than that. Don't forget from the example that I gave you earlier about Donald Trump and China. Now, Donald Trump still went as far as saying that there will be a 90-day pause on any tariff from every other country that has interacted with the United States of America without any iota of what, without struggling or arguing, or without being how would I put it? Without trying to be difficult. Let me use that word. I think that is the only thing that my mind can make up for now. Without trying to be difficult, or without trying to be vindictive, and maybe want to do this just because the United States has done this, want to do that. So any country that sees itself as pal, as friend of the United States of America, any country that still remains in that region will have a 90-day tariff free. After which, when there will be tariff on anything that the country is importing into the United States of America, it will not be as the same rate as China. That of China will be 125%, but other countries will be 10%. Look at it. For someone that is bringing in an item, you are looking at it at, let me sell it at 100 naira. But when it gets into the United States, it's now 110 naira just because of the tariff, the 10% tariff. And for the other person that is also bringing something from another country, taking it to the United States of America at the same 100 naira. Are you with me? At the same 100 naira. But when it gets to the United States, it is no longer 100 naira. It is now 225 naira. Just because of what? Just because of foreign policy. Just because of what? Foreign policy. Or better still, because of what? Because of the tariff. So the tariff in itself is a foreign policy. Please don't mind me. Something is wrong with this, and I'm trying to fix it. I hope we are still on the same page. So the tariff itself is just one of those foreign policies. And let us see. I just want to be sure that. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So foreign policies of countries have varying rates of change and scope of intent, which can be affected by factors that change the perceived. A call came in, but I've ended it. It can be affected by certain factors. It can be affected by certain factors that change the perceived. Hello, are we together, please? Hello, please, are we together? Are we still together? Just came in now, please. Leave a message that we are still together. If we are still together, please leave a message on WhatsApp that we are still together so we can continue. Please leave a message on WhatsApp that we are still together so we can continue. Once we are through with this, hopefully we'll try to download if we are still together, leave a message on the platform that we are still together. I'm not getting any message from anyone. If we are still together, leave a message that we are still together, please, so that I can continue. If not, Okay. Now, please confirm that you are still with me. Confirm that you are still with me. Kindly confirm that you are still with me so that we can continue. Kindly confirm that you are still with me so that we can continue. Kindly confirm that you are still with me so that we can continue. Confirm that you are still with me so that we can continue. Okay. So we are still together. That's great. That's great. So I'm very sure you understand. I understand. I'm very sure you understand where we are at the moment. Now, the foreign policy of a country can have profound and lasting impact. It can have what? It can have profound and lasting impact on many other countries and on the course of the international relations as a whole. Look at the recent foreign policy of United States of America. It is having impact on not just one country, but on almost every other country of the world. Is that taken? So that is what we have here. That the foreign policy of a country can have what? It can have a profound and lasting impact on the country itself and even on other countries of the world, not just a particular country. Is that taken? Okay, so we continue. Are you with me? So we'll continue from there. Now we have some examples here. We have the Monroe Doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine conflicting with the mercantilism policy of 19th century and the European countries. That is the Monroe Doctrine that conflicts with mercantilism policy of 19th century European countries and the goals of the independence of newly formed Central America and the South American countries. Are you with me? So let us see the fundamentals of, the fundamental principle of Nigerian foreign policy. Fundamental principle of Nigeria foreign policy. Now, since independence, with Jaja Wachukwu as the first Minister of Foreign Affairs. Jaja Wachukwu is the first Minister of Foreign Affairs. You should write that. With Jaja Wachukwu as the minister, that is the first Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Commons, later called External Affairs. So the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Commons was later called what? External Affairs. Nigerian foreign policy has been characterized by a focus on Africa as a regional power and by attachment to several fundamental principles. So since independence, Nigerian foreign policy has been characterized by what? By a focus on Africa as a regional power and by attachment to several fundamental principles. Now, these fundamental principles about Nigerian foreign policy is that, number one, please take note of these fundamental principles. Number one, African unity and independence. The first principle is African unity and independence. The second principle is capability to exercise hegemonic influence. Please, you can write it out and look for the meaning. The capability to exercise hegemonic influence in the region, that is peaceful settlement of disputes. Peaceful settlement of disputes. Are you with me? Are you with me? So the next one is the non-alignment and non-intentional interference, the non-alignment and the non-alignment and the non-intentional interference in the internal affairs of other nations. I'll take that again. The non-alignment and non-intentional interference in the internal affairs of what? Of other nations. Finally, we have regional economic cooperation and development. Now, these are the what? These are the principles. These are the fundamental principles of Nigerian foreign policies with other countries. But we are looking at it as with Africa. Now, when we talk about non-alignment, I'm very sure most of you are always confused about what non-alignment policy is and this and that. I have explained it at a particular period of time. I told you that it is basically a situation in which some African countries chose not to take part. In fact, most African countries, they chose not to take part in the World War, so that whatever happens during the World War will not have a debilitating effect on the country that choose to take part, on maybe on the German or the Soviet Union. So now, in carrying out these principles, Nigeria participates in the African Union. Are you with me? In carrying out the principles that I've listed above, that is the African unity and independence. Number 2, the capability to exercise hegemonic influence in the region, peaceful settlement of what? Of disputes, and the non-alignment and non-intentional, are you with me? Non-alignment and non-intentional interference in the internal affairs of other nations, and the regional economic cooperation and development. Now, these are the principles. So, in carrying out these principles, Nigeria participates in the African Union, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the non-aligned movement, and the Commonwealth of Nations and the United Nations. Don't forget, Commonwealth of Nations is different. That is, it used to be the British Commonwealth, and then we have the United Nations Organization, UNO. So all these international organizations, they are part of, like, Nigeria tries as much as possible to, to have a vision or to work with them in such a way that Nigeria's best interests will be protected. Now, there are many Nigerian organizations outside the country. Please take note of that. There are many Nigerian organizations outside the country. Prominent among them is the House Team. Prominent among the Nigerian organizations that are outside the country, we have the House Team, we have the Texas United States-based Nigerian Union. Okay, we have the Texas United States-based, we have Nigerian Union Diaspora, NUD, which is the umbrella non-governmental organization for the economic and political empowerment of people of Nigerian descent outside Nigeria. That is, the NUD is the what? It is the umbrella. It is a non-governmental organization, but it is the umbrella for economic and political empowerment. It is the umbrella for economic and political empowerment for Nigerians that are not living in Nigeria, that are living in other countries. Those are the people we call Nigerians in diaspora. Nigerians that are living in other country are in diaspora. Are you with me? So let us move to the next slide. Now here we have Nigeria and the liberation of Africa. The next slide, Nigeria and the liberation of Africa. Nigeria and the liberation of Africa. Now, upon gaining independence in 1960, when Nigeria gained independence in 1960, Nigeria quickly committed itself to what? To improving the lives of the people of the country. Nigeria quickly committed itself to do what? To improving the lives of the people of the country and harnessing the resources that remain vital to the what? To the economy of the country and their neighbors. So what Nigeria did, the moment Nigeria gained independence, was that the very first thing, was that Nigeria tried as much as possible to improve the life of Nigerians, to improve the well-being of Nigeria, and to also harness, that is, to take charge, not just to take charge, to take or to maximize the potential, that is, the natural resources that is in abundance in Nigeria and even in other neighboring countries that Nigeria can benefit from. Are you with me? So by observing at what benefit and appropriate, okay, by observing at what benefits and appropriate for the country, Nigeria became one of the founding members of the Organization for African Unity, OAU. Nigeria became one of the founding members of OAU, which later became the African Union. And don't forget, um, the African Union, its establishment was declared by the Satire Declaration of September 9, 1999, in Sirte, that is Libya, during the reign of Muammar al-Gaddafi. Are you with me? So we also have the Organization for Africa. The Organization for African Unity checks political stability of any African country and encourages them to be holding regional meetings for the union. So what OAU is just doing is that they check the stability in politics, that is political wise, they check the stability of each country and encourage those countries to be holding regional meetings to ensure that, okay, everything that they are going through, everything is properly expressed. But please take note of that. Take note of this, that the OAU, that is Organization for African Unity, at a point in time, just because of the regional meetings that all these heads of government and head of state, just because of this meeting that they were having, it was soon becoming what? It was soon becoming the dictators club, because human rights was jettisoned by, the leaders of each country. Human rights was jettisoned. So for that reason, that is the OAU was what? It was declared non-existent just because of what? Just because of the fact that it was assumed to be a dictator's club. Is that taken? So Nigeria backed, now listen to this, Nigeria backed the African National Congress, that is the ANC, by taking a committed tough line with regard to the South African government. Please underline that. Write it. Nigeria backed the African National Congress. Nigeria backed the African National Congress by taking a committed tough line, with regards to the South African government and their military actions in Southern Africa. And their military action in where? Southern Africa. Please take note of that. Nigerian and Organization for African Unity, OAU, now the African Union. Don't forget, it is the OAU that turns to African Union. OAU was established in 1963, and it is now the what? It is now the African Union. So I'll take that again. Nigeria and Organization for African Unity, now OAU, now AU, has tremendous influence in West African nations and Africa on the whole. So what we are saying here is this, that Nigeria has tremendous influence on African countries generally, most especially on West African countries. Most especially on what? On West African countries. Hello, please, sorry, a call came in. Kindly confirm if you can still hear me. Confirm if you can still hear me. Leave a message on the platform that you can still hear me. Please, leave a message on the platform that you can still hear me. A call came in. Confirm that you can still hear me so that we can continue. Additionally, leave a message on the platform that you can hear me. I'm waiting. I just need a message from you to be sure that we are still on the same page so that we can continue. A message on the platform, please, before we proceed. Please, a message on the platform before we proceed. A message on the platform to show that we are still on the same page, please. A message on the platform to show that we are still on the same page, please. Enoch, please leave a message on the platform to show that we are still on the same page, please. Enoch, please leave a message on the platform to show that we are still together. I'm not getting any message. For this reason, I will not continue, please. I want to be sure that we are together. I want to. Okay, thank you, Aisha. So we can continue. We can continue. So please understand that Nigeria, I will take that again. I've taken it before and I told you to take note of it, but I'll take it again. After taking it, we'll move to the next slide. Nigeria backed the African National Congress, that is the ANC, by taking committed tough line with regard to South African government and their military actions in Southern Africa. Nigeria rather, and Nigerian and Organization for African Unity, now the AU, has what tremendously influence, or it has tremendous influence in West African nations and Africa on a whole. Nigeria has additionally founded regional cooperative efforts in West Africa. I'll take that again. Nigeria has additionally founded regional cooperative efforts in West Africa, functioning as the standard bearer for ECOWAS. Nigeria is the standard bearer of ECOWAS and ECOMOG, economic and military organization, respectively. Don't forget, whenever there is any peacekeeping mission, you remember the story of Obasanjo that I shared with you. Obasanjo is always at the forefront. He was always at the forefront for peacekeeping mission when he was still in the military. So whenever there was anything related to peacekeeping mission, you'd always see Nigeria, most especially when Africa is involved or when Africa is concerned, you always see Nigeria at the very forefront. So let us move to the next slide. Similarly, when the civil war broke out in Angola after the country gained independence from Portugal in 1975, Nigeria mobilized its diplomatic influence in Africa in support of the popular movement for the liberation of Angola. Now, this popular movement for the liberation of Angola was that it was the peacekeeping mission that Obasanjo went for, that every other soldier was killed, and Obasanjo, not only was he spared, he was not just spared, it was a miraculous intervention for him. I shared the story with you. So now the support helped tip the balance in their favor, which led to OAU recognition of the MPLA over the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola. The next page. Nigeria extended diplomatic support to another cause. Please take note of this. Nigeria extended diplomatic support to another cause, the Sam Nujomas Southwest Africa. Please take note of that. The Sam Nujomas Southwest Africa People Organization in Namibia, to stall the apartheid South Africa installed government there. I'll take that again. Nigeria extended diplomatic support to another cause, that is the Sam Ujoma South Africa People Organization in Namibia, to stall the apartheid South African installed government there. In 1977, the new general, listen to this, in 1977, the new general Olusegun Obasanjo's military regime donated 20 million to the Zimbabwe, not just 20 million, $20 million to the Zimbabwean movement against the apartheid government of where? Of Rhodesia. Please write that. In 1977, the new General Olusegun Obasanjo's military regime, as at that time, General Olusegun Obasanjo was the military head of state of Nigeria. So in 1977, the new General Olusegun Obasanjo military regime donated $20 million to the Zimbabwean movement against the apartheid government of Rhodesia. Rhodesia is spelled Rhodesia. Nigeria also sent military equipment to Mozambique to help the newly independent country suppressed the South African-backed Mozambican national resistance guerrillas. I'll take that again. Nigeria also sent military equipment to Mozambique to help the newly independent country suppress the South African-backed Mozambique national resistance guerrilla. Now, let me explain that part. During this, even till 1999, not until, no, till 1990, thereabouts, South Africa was, basically ruled and, let me say, owned and everything controlled by white guys. South Africa was owned by white guys. So what those leaders were doing from South Africa was that they were trying to attack every other African countries that were close to that Southern Africa just for their own influence to continue. And that was why there was this movement, the apartheid movement. The apartheid movement is a South African thing. And also have it at the back of your mind that xenophobic attack or xenophobia is also a South African thing. It's xenophobic attack is basically a situation whereby South Africans see every other countries in Africa, see every other citizen from Africa, they see them as enemies. Is that taken? There are so many reasons for that, but we are not going to dive into it because that is not a topic for discussion for now, a topic of discussion for now. So we move on. Now, Nigeria also provided some military training at the Kaduna First. Nigeria provided some military training at the Kaduna First Mechanized Army Division and other material support to Joshua Nkomo and Robert Mugabe's guerrilla forces. I'll take that again. Nigeria also provided some military training at Kaduna First Mechanized Army Division and other material. Don't forget, they provided military training and other material to support who? That is, they provide the support to Joshua Nkomo. It was a support to who? Joshua Nkomo and Robert Mugabe guerrilla forces during the Zimbabwe War in 1979. There was a Zimbabwe War in 1979 against the white minority rule of Prime Minister Ian Douglas. So these white men, they were the minority in that particular country, that is in Zimbabwe. White men were the minority in Zimbabwe, and then they had their head as Ian Douglas. Now, this Ian Douglas, just because he's the prime minister, that is the prime minister of the white minority, he was against the country, and that even led to a situation where Robert Mugabe had to receive help from Obasanjo. Robert Mugabe received help from Obasanjo, not even from Obasanjo alone, from every other country in that region of Africa, Robert Mugabe and Joshua Nkomo. Now, don't forget that this Ian Douglas was the who? He was the white minority ruler he was the prime minister of the white minority. Are you with me? So his full name is Ian Douglas Smith, which was backed by the apartheid government of South Africa. You can see apartheid government of South Africa backing Mozambique, apartheid government of South Africa backing Zimbabwe. Are we on the same page? Due to mismanagement of its economy and technology, listen, due to the mismanagement of its economy and technology, Nigeria announced that, Nigeria announced that it was launching a nuclear program. There was a time that Nigeria announced that it was launching a nuclear program of unlimited scope of its own, but failed. Nigeria at a point in time wanted to launch a nuclear program that has unlimited scope of its own. Like Nigeria wanted to launch a nuclear program of its own without support from any other country in Africa or without support from any international organization. But this particular program failed. Why did it fail? It failed because there was mismanagement of resources. There was what? Mismanagement of resources economically and technologically. Now, after the after the Nigerian independence in 1960, Nigeria demonstrated its seriousness in improving the what? In improving the economy for the people and embarked on nationalizing some multinational companies. Nigeria decided to nationalize some multinational companies. Now, when we talk about nationalization, please understand this, that to nationalize means turn every foreign owned company in your country, turn them to company owned by you. Any company that is owned by a British guy that is existing in Nigeria should be completely acquired by Nigerians. But the process of acquisition, it varies. It could be that Nigeria will occupy 60% of the managerial role, while others will occupy the remaining 40%. So it varies. You understand? But whenever we talk about nationalization, we are simply talking about a situation whereby a foreign owned organization in a particular country will be completely owned by the citizens or by the country itself. So I'll take that part again so that you understand what we are talking about properly. After independence, Nigeria demonstrated its seriousness in improving the what? In improving the economy for the people and embarked on nationalizing some multinational companies that traded with that he traded with and broke the economic trade embargo on the apartheid South Africa. Nigeria broke the economic embargo on the apartheid South Africa. An embargo is a kind of decree. You understand? It is a kind of decree which has to do with stopping a particular activity from happening, preventing a particular activity from happening. So at that point, during that time, Nigeria broke the economic or the trade embargo. That is, Nigeria cannot trade with South Africa. So Nigeria broke that trade embargo that existed with the apartheid South Africa during that time. That is after independence. Now, with the apartheid regime, the local operation of Barclays Bank, now they were nationalized. Now the Barclays Bank was nationalized after that bank. Let me see. Okay, after that, the bank ignored strong protest by Nigerian populace. So I think there was a problem during that time that the populace of Nigerians were not comfortable, like Nigerians were not comfortable with certain things, one or two things, maybe because of this apartheid regime and every other thing. So the populace of Nigerians, they launched a protest against that bank during that time. Are you with me? They launched a protest against that bank during that time. So Nigeria also nationalized the British Petroleum. Nigeria nationalized what? The British Petroleum. If I were you, I would write that. Nigeria also nationalized the British Petroleum, BP, for supplying oil to South Africa. So it was the British corporation that was supplying oil to South Africa, but Nigeria nationalized it in 1982. The British Petroleum was nationalized in 1982. The British Petroleum was nationalized in 1982. Now, the Alhaji Shehu Shagari government urged the visiting Pontiff Pope John Paul. Alhaji Shehu Shagari was the head. He was the first executive elected president of Nigeria. He urged the visiting Pope. He urged the visiting Pope, that is the Pontiff Pope John Paul II. He urged him to grant audience to the leaders of South African guerrilla organization, Oliver Tambo of the ANC and Sam Nujoma of SWAPO. Please take note of that. You can write it. You have the notes. Now, in December 1983, the new Major General Muhammad Buhari regime announced that Nigeria could no longer afford an apartheid government in Africa. So it was Buhari that announced that Nigeria could no longer afford an apartheid government in Africa. Are you with me? Please take note of that. Take note of that. So we move to Nigeria and West Africa. Nigeria and West Africa. Please, if you are moving with me, if you're on the same page, kindly leave a message on the platform that we are on the same page, please. Please leave a message on the platform that we are on the same page. I want to be sure that we're on the same page before I continue. And I want to be sure that this is loud and clear. Don't forget that we are looking at Nigeria and West Africa. Are we on the same page? Joshua, are we on the same page? Enoch, are we on the same page? Aisha Balogun, are we on the same page? Please, are we on the same page? Are we on the same page, please? I want to be sure that you are with me before we continue. Okay, great. Thank you, Aisha. I think I have to turn the camera so that I'll be able to read this effortlessly. So, seeing my face does not matter now. What matters most is what you can hear. Now, in pursuing the goal of regional economic cooperation and development, we are looking at Nigeria and West Africa. In pursuing the goal of regional economic cooperation and development, Nigeria helped create ECOWAS, which seeks now ECOWAS seeks to harmonize trade and investment practice for its then 16 West African member countries and ultimately to achieve a full customs union. Nigeria also has taken the lead in articulating the views of developing nations in the need for modification of the existing international economic order. I'll take that again. In pursuing the goal of regional economic cooperation, and development, Nigeria helped create the ECOWAS. Nigeria helped to create the ECOWAS because of what? Because they were pursuing the goal of regional economic cooperation and development. Now, this ECOWAS seeks to harmonize trade and investment practice for its then it was 16 members in the West African member countries and ultimately to achieve a full customs union. Now, another thing is that Nigeria has also taken the lead in articulating, that is, in speaking for, in clear terms, in articulating the views of developing nations on the need for what? On the need for modification of the existing international economic order. So Nigeria has been at the forefront to advocate for other developing countries in Africa for the economic world order to be reviewed in such a way that it will favor these developing nations in Africa. It should not be structured in such a way that it is only these developed countries that will be getting the lion's share of everything, or that will be milking and marginalizing these developing states in Africa as a whole. So Nigeria has always been at the forefront. Nigeria has occupied the driving position or the front seat in ensuring that the needs, the yearnings, the grievances of these developing African states are properly articulated in the world. We move on. Nigeria has played a central role in the ECOWAS effort to end civil war in Liberia and contributed the bulk of the ECOWAS peacekeeping and has contributed the bulk of the ECOWAS peacekeeping forces sent there in 1990. Nigeria has also provided the bulk of troops for ECOMOG forces in Sierra Leone. Now let us see Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, this particular part that I just explained, if you have not forgotten, that I've also explained it during the time I was, discussing Obasanjo's experience in his peacekeeping mission. I've explained it before. So we move on. Nigeria Foreign Ministry now please write, Nigeria Foreign Ministry is a statutory body. When we talk about statutory body, we are simply talking about the official and legally ratified, like, let's just say the formal body created to reinforce foreign decision making and implementation processes in Nigeria, and handle the external promotions of Nigeria's domestic vision and ideas. I'll take that again. The Nigeria Foreign Ministry is a statutory body created to reinforce foreign decisions. I'll take that again. The Nigerian Foreign Ministry is a statutory body created to reinforce the foreign decision-making and implementation process in Nigeria and handle the external promotion of Nigeria's domestic vision and ideals. It is headed by a federal executive cabinet minister. The Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs is headed, please take note of that. The Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs is headed by a federal executive cabinet minister. It is headed by a federal executive cabinet minister. As of late, its mission has geared towards increasing awareness about Nigeria's economic potential. Are you with me? The mission of this Nigeria Ministry of Foreign Affairs of recent is that it has been geared towards increasing awareness, like telling everybody in the world, increasing awareness about Nigeria's economic potential. So the Nigerian Foreign Affairs keeps going from one part of the country to the other, telling everybody in the world that Nigeria has great economic potential. It is part of the government executive branch. Please have it at the back of your mind that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is part of the government executive branch. I think with this, we have completed everything under foreign policy. And if there is anything at all that we have not touched, when we meet physically, we are going to explain everything again. We are still going to go through everything again. But just to keep you informed of anything, that is why we've decided to come up with this class while I'm in another place trying to fix one or two things for you guys as well. So let us quickly go through this again, not going through it again, a kind of summary of what we've done. We're made to understand that a foreign policy of a country is what it is: anything that consists of self-interest strategy chosen by the state to safeguard its national interests and to achieve goals goals within its international relations milieu. Are you with me? And I also told you that whenever we talk about foreign policy analysis, we said it is the study of the strategy that is employed to interact with other countries. I'll take that again. Foreign policy analysis is the study of the strategy that is employed to do what? To interact with other countries. We're also made to understand that as a result of globalization, as a result of, deepening of globalization, Nigeria or all other countries in the world have to interact with every other country and even with non-state actors. And this interaction is evaluated and monitored in attempt to maximize benefits of multilateral international cooperation. We're also made to understand that the fundamental principle of foreign policies are African unity and independence. That is for Nigeria, African unity and independence, capability to exercise hegemonic influence in the region, that is peaceful settlement of disputes. We also looked at the non-alignment and non-intentional interference in international or internal affairs of other countries. You don't have anything to do with the affairs of other countries. Even if they are going through anything, you are not aligning with them. So if they will receive their nuclear weapon or their atomic weapon or their Hiroshima, they should receive it alone without you sharing part of it. Finally, regional economic cooperation and development. We were made to understand that Nigeria participated in, all these principles by being part of those that formed ECOWAS, also coming up with the non-aligned movement, the Commonwealth of Nations, and the United Nations. So we looked at Nigeria and the liberation of Africa. We're made to understand that after Nigeria gained independence in 1960, Nigeria quickly committed itself to improving the lives of people of the country and harnessing the resources that remain vital to the economy of the country and our neighbors. So by observing, we are leaving that Nigeria backed the African National Congress, the ANC, by taking a committed tough line with regard to South African government and their military actions in South Africa. We're also made to understand that Nigeria and OAU, that is now AU, has tremendous efforts in West African nations and Africa as a whole. Nigeria has additionally founded regional cooperative efforts in West Africa, functioning as standard bearer for ECOWAS and ECOMOG, economic and military organizations respectively. Don't forget that ECOWAS is economic organization and ECOMOG is military organization. Similarly, when civil war broke out in Angola after the country gained independence from Portugal in 1975, Nigeria mobilized its diplomatic influence in Africa in support of the Popular Movement for Liberation of Angola, that is the MPLA. That support helped tip the balance in their favor, that is in the favor of who? In the favor of Angola, which led to OAU recognition of the MPLA over the National Union of the total independence of Angola. We also understand that Nigeria extended diplomatic support to another cause, that is the Sam Nujuma South Africa's People Organization in Namibia, which is to stall the apartheid South African installed government there. In 1977, the new General Olusegun Obasanjo military regime donated $20 million to the Zimbabwe movement against the apartheid government of Rhodesia. We also made to understand that Nigeria also sent military equipment to Mozambique to help the newly independent country suppress the South African-backed Mozambican National Resistance Guerrillas. Nigeria also provided some military training at the Kaduna 1st Mechanized Army Division and other material support to Joshua Nkomo and Robert Mugabe guerrilla forces during the Zimbabwe War in 1975 against the white minority rule of the Prime Minister Ian Douglas Smith, which was backed by the apartheid government of South Africa. Additionally, we said due to the mismanagement of its economy and technology, Nigeria announced that it was launching a nuclear program of unlimited scope of its own but failed. After the Nigerian independence in 1960, Nigeria demonstrated the seriousness in improving the economy for the people and embarked on nationalizing some multinational companies that traded with and broke economic trade embargoes of the apartheid South African regime. The local operations of Barclay banks were nationalized after the bank ignored the strong protest by the Nigerian populace. Furthermore, we said Nigeria also nationalized the British Petroleum for supplying oil to South Africa. In 1982, the Alhaji Shehu Shagari government urged the visiting Pontiff Pope John Paul II to grant audience to the leaders of Southern African guerrilla organizations, Oliver Tambo of the ANC and Sam Nujuma of SWAPO. In December 1983, the new Major General Buhari regime announced that Nigeria could no longer afford an apartheid government in West Africa. We further moved to Nigeria and West Africa. We said in pursuing the goals of regional economic cooperation and development, Nigeria helped create ECOWAS, which seeks to harmonize trade and investment practices for its 16 West African member countries and ultimately to achieve a full customs union. Nigeria also has taken the lead in articulating the views of developing nations on the need for modification of existing international economic order. Furthermore, we said Nigeria has played a central role in the ECOWAS effort to end the civil war in Liberia and contributed the bulk of the ECOWAS peacekeeping forces sent there in 1990. Nigeria has also provided the bulk of troops for ECOMOG forces in Sierra Leone. Finally, we learned that which is the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We learned that the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs is a statutory body created to reinforce foreign decision making and implementation process in Nigeria and handle the external promotions of Nigerian domestic vision and ideals. We were made to understand that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is headed by a federal executive cabinet minister. Finally, we said as of late, its mission has geared towards increasing awareness about Nigeria's economic potential. It is part of the government executive branch. And we have come to the end of this particular class. By God's grace, when we meet physically, hopefully before the end of today, we are going to look at it extensively and we are going to take some past questions on it. Thank you for your time. God bless you. Please get the principal to call me instantly.